apparently all in all healthy.
Come on, you bastard! You can do better than that! Nah, it's my turn!
Rotten or pristine, each heart contains the seed of life. Drink at this river, try it all.
Oh, come on, you bastard! I won't bite.
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood. Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice? Stop your staring and get me to an hospital, you arse!
Insulting a good Samaritan. Not exactly the way to get rescued.
Alright, sorry. I am in pain here. My guts are spilling out onto the street and you're yabbering on.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Name's Clay Cox. I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
Terrible euphemism.
Bring this fading light into the shadows. Dance with him the dance of life and death.
You know, tutorial, I'm doing this just to spite you. I know, I get the idea of not killing civilians into my head, then it's just like... You know, apparently that's an option, that's a thing you can do, and it's just like... I don't want to kill them. Shock of shocks. I like getting the good endings and, you know, being a little Boy Scout, but... Apparently that's not a complete option here. You gotta bite them, you gotta drain them. Hopefully there'll be an option not to, you know, bleed them dry. Oh, 1 second. You can hear me, you can hear the game, you can see the game, and I'm deep recording. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Ah. Hold on. I was just counting a moment ago. You can hear me, you can hear the game, you can see it, I'm deep recording. 10, 11, 12, 13. 1 sec. Yeah, I think I'll be calling it soon. We'll be releasing him.
No more. Not tonight. Not like this. I will not take another life.
What happened? Did I black out? Whoa, I feel giddy. What happened?
Well, he's taking it well. Tiny common handle part. springs.
It is wise for the huntsman to sometimes let his prey go, but no famished hunter can run for long.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back immediately.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
I would like to ask a few questions first. And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
No, thank you.
If you could point me at...
Second floor of the hospital.
Okay.
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
City U, wife saved by official medical aid. Is a blow struck at the flu epidemic. Volunteers make the difference. He's getting confused
Dr.
there.
Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
Not sure if it's the game or my just controls acting up. The keyboard sometimes goes acts up, and same with the mouse. Try and scroll down and start scrolling up and down, and you're literally only scrolling down. Prevent disease. Kill spitting, sneezing, coughing, spread influenza. Spread by droplet sprayed from nose or mouth. Do not cough in public.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon.
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be be a vampire.
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
Uh-huh.
Do you require my services, Miss Howcroft?
I have no need for your medicine, Dr. Reed. Blood is the only drug I need.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Uh-huh.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
This way. Actually, initially I was thinking I was going to be slotting this in instead of The Evil Within 2, but I'm thinking this will be going into the RPG line, so ignore the comment in the first episode. Swansea, Swansea, Swansea. Used hacksaw. Surgical saw, able to cut through bone. Ugh. Absorb blood points when used as a weapon. But, when the weapon hits. Tia Elwood's medical file. 28. Thomas Elwood, Dr. Tippett's convalescence. Mission September 16th. Date of release to be determined. The patient's face has been heavily burnt and disfigured by a bomb during the war. Even the use of strong sedatives, he affirms to regularly endure severe pain from the wounds, as if flames are still burning within his skin. He says, examinations of his cauterized tissue showed no traces of inflammation, infection, or swelling. Scars are clean. Could it be a case of persisting nerve damage? The patient never ceases to blame himself for his disfiguration. Could this be a case of guilt to the survivor? Found the pain manifesting as a punishment for not dying with his comrades. Could be, sadly. Vaguely a why. Tippett, Strickland, and Ackroyd. Let's not loot the hospital. They're kind of hard up for stuff.
Place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Article on Econs. icons. It is a rare opportunity and almost a privilege to approach a vampire, to observe their most intriguing physical and psychological traits with a scientific and rational eye. It's the most fascinating abilities I've personally witnessed over the last 10 years when tutoring a few vampires, or Econ, as they prefer to call themselves. Supernatural speed. A vampire can act and move like a mortal in all his actions, but the trained eye will spot that they have the keenest senses and react quicker than any mortal. On a few occasions, so I'm surprised, necessity to flee, I've seen a vampire move so quickly it is almost as if he'd vanished just to reappear somewhere else. The human eye cannot follow their movements when they act so quickly, but it is not a teleport or dematerialization. It is only supernatural speed. For me, it is a cat-like attribute, which allows them to run, dodge, or jump higher and faster than us. I also notice that such speed seems to exhaust them, and they're bound to physical limitations. Mesmerism. One of the most powerful abilities a vampire can deploy is the capacity to force a mortal to obey them. I call this trait mesmerism, but it has nothing to do with their mortal ability to alter a subject's mental state. Vampire can bend a mortal to their will, and even break a mind. Vampire interviewed even told me that the more subject tries to resist, the more permanent the damage will be, so that the vampire could literally fracture their target's psyche. The same vampire explained to me that this ability required time to master. The result could vary wildly from one subject to another. Plant a false memory, erase a painful one. Possibilities are endless and frightening. Blood awareness. This may be the most catastrophic ability of all concerning vampires, since it causes so many tragedies for them and us. Vampires crave for blood. They will use their will to restrain themselves from frenzied drinking every drop of blood they can see. They need blood to function and to express their full supernatural traits. A famished vampire can be very weak, even if he cannot die of hunger or thirst. This urge, this need for blood, may explain why. This need for blood may explain why a vampire is so aroused by it. A vampire confessed to me that blood could sometimes blind him, since its smell and attractiveness could be so strong. When he focuses, a vampire can almost see blood all around them, inside warm bodies, through walls, on a supposedly clean weapon, etc. Same vampire could even tell me that he can see if a mortal has clean blood or is ill, and that in some cases he can even sense diseases, infected clothes, or even items in a room. If this is true, then it could have so many medical applications it almost beggars belief.
The flower's dying. It needs water. The flower's dying. It needs water.
Sadly I can't give it any. Dr. Swansea's message. Dear Jonathan, Alison is currently securing an office for you on the second floor. Please forgive the austere decoration, but Pembroke Hospital is not exactly the Ritz. Sorry that you discover your office alone, but I need a little sleep before going back to work. Just mere mortal, after all. So gave orders to let you rest and for staff to never enter your room. You'll be able to sleep all day without being disturbed and work at night without raising any suspicion. I'm afraid the place is quite messy, but you'll be able to conduct your experiments here at your own pace. You'll also notice there's an open window with a scaffolding, so you'll enter or exit the hospital without being noticed. I imagine how awfully new and disturbing this all must be for you. Believe me, I've studied enough of your species to understand what you must now be facing and feeling. Be assured I'll do whatever I can to assist you in this ordeal. Know that you're not completely alone facing it. I'm glad I met you. These dark times we are all presently facing. I hope our future collaboration will yield great results. Welcome to Pembroke, your esteemed colleague. We shall talk soon. Yours sincerely, Edgar Griffith Swansea. I have a copy of some of my notes concerning what I've discovered about Econ in the last few years. Feel free to read about it if you need some guidance, as long as you don't use this knowledge to take advantage of me. Can't take care of the flower, the plant. Give us a rejuvenation thing.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
He cut himself off there. Okay. This looks weird. Doesn't look like a guy lying in bed. It looks like he's just standing and doing his normal animation with the bed as a backing. Big thirst. That just sounds weird. As natural predators, vampires have received some gifts from Mother Nature, like claws instead of fingernails. These natural weapons can easily cut through tissue, very useful for piercing and prey's arteries. If you use your claws, you'll see humans differently, like soft and tender meat. Stunning effect. You can cut through the flesh prey so deeply you can now gain blood with each hit. The following night.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood? Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this
That was harsher than
epidemic, supplies
expected.
have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
Getting complimented by someone nowhere near me. Third floor. Cannot go in there. Cannot go in there. Alright.
Time has lost its effect on me, but the suffering continues.
The pain. It's here again.
Ah, vampire chick. Ah, priest.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton.
Oh, cut someone
How
off.
do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Yeah, he was actually perfectly fine.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts? The bartender from the Turtle. I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Fair enough.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers Trade Union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Ah. That guy. The guy we nearly drained outside.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
That's nice. At least they have, some bit of honor.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
By that I mean right
Yeah,
now.
Doctor.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Actually, the guy saying before how vampires, you know, being able to detect blood by if it's clean by sight, that would be ungodly handy. Like, goddamn. Just being able to eyeball someone's blood in their veins and being able to tell is it clean or not. Do they have any bloodborne illnesses? That would be insanely handy.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks, and I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Fair enough.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Maybe the other guy's cross was special, or maybe the guy just didn't realize its own power. Yeah.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks.
Sounds familiar.
Poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke. Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
I think I remember hearing of a Harriet Jones and something else. I just don't remember what.
Daily routine.
Dear brothers, I must now draw your attention to a very important point. Use of garlic as protection against vampires. Let's be crystal clear on the subject. Garlic will never protect you against those creatures, no matter how fresh, how strong, and how smelly. Garlic is useless as a defense. I cannot say enough how damaging that novel of Bram Stoker has been. Yes, of course, the population of Slavic countries place garlic cloves in coffins. Yes, of course, inhabitants of Stranoria Island have hang garlic on their windows. There would be so much to write about this place in someday soon, but to go back to this island to explore its occult tradition. But that is not to protect the living from the devil. It is to tell the dead that they are aware of their malevolence. The symbol, nothing more and nothing less. So yes, please, by all means, wear garlic, show garlic, and hang garlic. Tell the shadows that you're not afraid. But if you're looking for supernatural protection, you'll have to search much deeper into the forgotten secrets of the occult tradition. For here is the truth, my brothers. Garlic does not repel the vampire, but all the fresh plants will hurt them. It is as if their body cannot stand the presence of botanical elements. I've seen an enraged vulp flee when racked by a rose, yes, a simple rose. I've witnessed a violent econ fall down and beg for mercy when struck by a wooden stake. I don't know why it is so effective, and I will give my left arm to find the answer to that mystery. But the truth remains nonetheless. Vampires are very sensitive to fresh herbs, plants, and woods. From facing the shadows, hell, and wild by Usher Taltree, primate of St. Paul.
The pain.
I wonder why the Goswicks came here in the first place.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
Soldier, do you need assistance?
I'm fine. Just do something for this pain, will you? That's all I'm asking.
Real cause of your injury.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Yeah, it is different for officers compared to soldiers. The grunts in World War One, the trench combat was a big thing. Everyone knows what a trench is. It's a ditch in the ground used for defense against, gunfire and all that. But at random times, the officers will call, and men will climb out of the trench and charge across the enemy's trench, where the enemy is ready to mow them down. In World War One, there was the Battle of Passchendaele. About 500,000 men died. Going by the estimates on Wikipedia, if you take the lowest on both sides, or the highest on both sides, you'll get you'll get around 500,000 to around 1,000,000. I think it's a little short or a little high, depending on which one, but yeah, it's about that. You can look it up yourself. Sabaton in their song said it was 500,000. So yeah. But it is hell conflicts. Verdun and what was it? The Somme. All three of them took place during World War One, and between the three, I've heard someone say it would be 1.5 million dead, men and boys. At least I know in World War Two, boys far too young did sign up. You had to be at least 18, and many's maybe even young as 15 signed up. Still kids. I'm 9 years older than them, and I still wouldn't sign up. Not that they would really want me, but that's another matter entirely. So yeah, it's depressing to think about. So young and so dead. Anyway.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of my blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
And it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could. I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Does, doesn't it?
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Here, 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
World War I era plastic surgery, not a great option. And to be honest, his scars aren't the worst. From here, from what I can see, it just looks like he's got a really bad case of freckles. And there's a bit of, discoloration just under that, but on one side, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst. I've seen some worse scarring elsewhere. There was a guy I saw. Don't know what happened to the man, but he had 2 lumps on him, and it looked like it was basically like someone stuck 2 chunks of coal to his head. Like complexion like either of these, but 2 black lumps on the top of it. I have no idea what that would be. It was from the distance, and I presume I had my glasses on, so, it wasn't just a strange hairstyle. They wanted to stare too much. Surgery could help you. You can't hide forever. Beauty is not everything.
Beauty is not everything, Mr. Elwood.
Says Mr. Pretty Face.
Why
Come on.
beauty?
Says...
Can I reload that?
Goodbye for now.
Okay, I wasn't expecting to fail it. Huh. Oh well. The more you know.
So many deaths. And what of my own life?
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
Fair enough.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
As if looking at us.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Good to know.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
I'm annoyed I failed the other guy's thing, but Sylvie.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
And why do you...
I don't need to, but...
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
Garden near the morgue, eh?
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Wrong target, new investigation.
I'll leave you.
Find out who's spying on her. Wish you could see who can. Ooh, Dorothy Crane.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
We can do medical checkups on him.
Do you need my medical attention, dear colleague?
You don't have to worry about me, Dr. Reed. I am here to assist you, not to be a burden.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed.
It's ironic.
In my own experiments, I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Wonder how he is experimenting.
What can you tell me?
Hopefully not insane.
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Joke with him.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Alright, we're gathering up quests now.
Like a book. I never could keep anything from her.
Unfinished letter. Pembroke Hospital, 2nd of November. My dear children, I'm sorry I didn't write to you before, but it hurts like hell just to write these few words on buddy paper. Don't worry, Dad will go out at hospital as soon as doctors fix his arm. Meantime, if you need some, go see Mr. Chadwick at the construction site and tell him you're Harvey Findick's children. You remember Robert Chadwick? The big guy with a mustache who helped me repair the house doors last spring. Go see him and ask for a few bob. He won't refuse to spare you a few. I'm sorry I can't work anymore for now, but we'll figure something out as soon as I'm out. Don't worry. Everything will be fine and everything will be fine as soon as Daddy's arm is strong again. As soon as doctors fix my arm, I
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Alright.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
I'm alright. Considering the state of this place, I should consider myself lucky, I guess.
Probably.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is, I disagreed about wood and nails, not flesh and bones.
Yeah. Different schools, different lines of thought. Think of Fraser. Fraser and his brother Niles bickered a lot based on the different schools of psychology they studied.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Christ. Come on. Have a plunger here with a bit of hand gel in it, just trying to get it out. I remember reading about, basically, during World War One, they put up large zeppelins or dirigibles over cities to try and shield them from bombings. One of the cords snapped once and hit a woman in the neck. The sheer weight of it broke it. The momentum broke her neck. She nearly died if it wasn't for the fact she held her head on. Read it in Horrible Histories.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
Christ.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
Yeah.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Christ, that's
Goodbye
rough.
for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
In circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Overrated dabblers.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Regrettably, war is also irritatingly good for pushing forward, technology, technological progress. X-rays and all that were discovered during World War II as a side effect of the atomic bomb research. From there, we have X-ray machines and the like, both for scanning through people in regards to finding out do they have a thermonuclear butt plug stored in them before they get on a plane, or for killing cancers and other cells. The Department of Defense in America is trying to find ways to make remote-controlled soldiers or something. I very vaguely remember the article, but it's like, yeah, it's basically, you know, you have an android and you're like remotely controlling it. So there's soldiers back at base handling it rather than, you know, being in the field risking their lives. I had other examples, but I can't remember now. Shotgun was major in World War One. Apparently, the Germans decried it as a war crime initially. But anyway,
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital, instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Disapproves of modern medicine methods. Apparently he's got fatigue.
Other people may say that's too conservative a point of view.
Conservative? And what are you going to say to Mr. Fiddick if he loses his arm because of the operation? Because that's what's going to happen if the surgery is a failure.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Tons of talking, tons of talking, tons of talking. Oh, I missed my chance to go in there.
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Uh-huh. Didn't think I could come in here. It seemed like it was locked. And we're apparently meant to investigate these? One of the ingredient things has gone missing. Both of these lead to it.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest, then.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
I've no hints. That all requires hints.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Okay, both these questions just sound wrong.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you For a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
Uh-huh.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
What can you tell me?
Not much.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
Alright.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Goodbye, Mrs.
Okay, nothing for you. And I guess we'll give you a look over.
Good evening, Miss.
I'm okay.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Christ.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured, you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Overbearing.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Fair enough.
I have to go now, sir.
Good evening.
Goodbye, Mrs.
Don't waste your time with me.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your...
Wrong one.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Where's the one?
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
I kinda wish I knew exactly what he wanted. Like, both are talking in general terms of what they want to do without any specifications. Does the guy want to, you know, apply a bandage of time to the other guy's arm? Or, you know, like, what does he want to do?
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him? Or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Oh.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
True, true. Both of them got points. Neither of them are completely,
Goodbye,
full of it.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
I'll go beat up some thugs.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Goodbye for now.
Reads me like a book. Never could keep anything from her.
The weirdest mirrors. Sweet Christ. Just when friends, this hospital can no longer take any more patients. Please go home. Yeah, the controls are just glitching out here. Could easily just be the keyboard rather than the game.
I cannot enter.
You.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
One sec. 1, 2, 3.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm fine, really. I just need to sleep.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Okay, I couldn't ask her about it.
Yes, Doctor?
Exactly how bad is the supply situation here at Pembroke?
It really depends. Dr. Swansea deftly works his society contacts for monies, but with the quarantine, well, we're in God's hands.
Why then do you always work the nights? Don't you ever sleep?
At the Pembroke, we're always hands on deck.
Your dedication to the Pembroke does you credit, Nurse Crane, but when do you sleep?
We staff get our sleep when we can, Doctor. Nursing is a vocation, not the labor of a journeyman.
Lack of sleep and the medical profession always ends in disaster. I've witnessed many a colleague succumb to stimulants to fight exhaustion. Drugs were as deadly as bullets in the trenches.
London's trenches start here at Pembroke Hospital. We are on the front line, make no mistake.
Please, could you...
It's the large...
That's all for...
Okay, I can't ask about the other guy. Not sure how you save. It was all handled via autosaves. So, I hope you've enjoyed. Until next time. I really need to go get some sleep. Yeah, I need to get some sleep myself. I do hope you've enjoyed. Till then.